Hey kids, it's Miss Sasha. Welcome back to art class. I'm super excited to be here today. Today, we're gonna get up close and personal with Blue Dog. Blue Dog's gonna be our inspiration for art today. Has anyone ever heard of Blue Dog? George Rodrigue is a famous Louisiana artist that lived in Lafayette for the good part of his life. He is most famous for his Blue Dog paintings. Blue Dog will take us on an adventure where we'll learn and discuss and draw some simple mapping skills. Why is Blue Dog blue? Well, George Rodrigue had a pet named Tiffany, and Tiffany was a black and white dog, just like this in this picture. And Tiffany was the kind of dog that hung out with him wherever he would go. Even when he was upstairs painting, he'd be upstairs painting and his dog Tiffany would be there. He'd go downstairs to get something to drink, and Tiffany was right by his side. He loved his dog, and his dog loved him. And just as we all know, our pets, they get old, and sometimes they pass away. And after Tiffany passed away, George Rodrigue was so sad. He didn't have his painting companion any longer, right? But he still had to continue painting, even though he was sad about the loss of his dog. So he would be painting, and he would look by his side and think he saw something. And he would look, and there wouldn't be anything there. So he would keep on painting. And he was like, what was that? And there wouldn't be anything there. So what George Rodrigue started to think is that maybe the spirit of his dog Tiffany was hanging around with him while he was still painting. That's interesting, right? And so a color that I think would represent, say, a spirit or a ghost, or Cajun French would be a loup-garou, would be the color of blue. So, there you go. There you have it. Blue Dog is blue because George Rodrigue thought it was the spirit of his beloved pet. And the cool thing is that his Blue Dog was able to travel wherever George Rodrigue wanted his dog to travel. So if you look into these pictures, look at this. Blue Dog is driving a motorcycle. Is that real? No way. Dogs don't drive motorcycles. They might ride on motorcycles with their human, but they don't drive motorcycles, right? With a scarf on. That would be silly, right? So where are some places that we might need or use a map? You know, because our Blue Dog is going to be taking us on a big adventure, and he's going to help us in planning this adventure. And the first thing we might need would be a map. Let me think. A map of the world. That's a really big map. It's got everything in the world on it, right? If we go a little bit smaller than that, there might be a map of the United States of America, which is just part of the world map. It's the United States of America. And if we were going to get even smaller and closer to home, we might see the state of Louisiana on the map of the United States. So it's even smaller. And we live in Lafayette, right? So we could get down to the map from Louisiana down to the city of Lafayette, right? And if we wanted to get even smaller, we could look for a map of our neighborhood. That would be even smaller. In our neighborhood, we'd have the little streets, the little houses, maybe the parks, maybe the schools, right? And then, what if we get even smaller and do a map of our house, the inside of the house? Where's mom's room? Where's dad's room? But then when you get to your room, maybe you can make a map of your room. Where's your bed? Where's your dresser? Which shape is your rug, right? So the map can go from really, really big to really, really small. So what if we were also to make a map of our school, just our school, or a map on how to get to school? There's so many different maps we could do. So if we're at school, we might make a map of where the library is, or the cafeteria. Where's Miss Ruby's classroom? Where's the office? Where do I go to see the nurse? These are all things you could put on your school map. And then when your parents come for parent-teacher conference, you can say, oh, you got to go 3 steps towards the library. When you get to the library, you're going to take a left, and you're going to head down the long hall. And when you see that water fountain, my classroom is right next to the water fountain. So you might have to draw your parents a map to your classroom to go meet your teacher. There's so many things we can use a map for, right? In your classroom, you can draw the map of your classroom. Where's the door? Where's your teacher's desk? Where's your best friend's desk? Where's the library in your classroom? What shape is your rug? And then maybe you can draw a map of the things on your desk. That would be super silly, but it could work, right? So let's look at some of these pictures. Look at this blue dog. This blue dog's ready for a carnival. He might have needed a map of New Orleans to know where the parade route was, right? Look at this blue dog. He's in the swamp. He's in the swamp, and he has a red alligator next to him. He might be going to a friend's swamp house or on a boat tour in the swamp, right? So many possibilities. This one is in a poppy field. This guy is dressed up for like a butterfly. Maybe it's Halloween. He might need a map of his neighborhood to know who has the best candy for Halloween. There's endless possibilities for drawing maps, okay? So the supplies you're gonna need today will be 2 pieces of white paper, some assorted crayons, including black and blue. Now is a good time to stop your video and gather your supplies. Perfect. Now that you've gathered all of your supplies, go ahead and put them down in front of you, just like this, horizontal, right? We're gonna draw, we're gonna talk about some different directions that we might find on a map. And we're gonna talk about something called a compass. Look at this. Look at this compass. North, east, south, and west. These are directions, right? A compass helps to tell us which direction that we might be traveling in or which way we need to head. It'll tell us the direction of the objects on the map. Maybe the pond or the slide at the park, right? It keeps you going in a straight line if that's what you need to do. And it'll tell you the different locations of things on the map. So we're gonna go ahead and practice drawing a simple little map. You can get any color you want. I'm gonna start with blue, because we are doing the blue dog, right? So blue dog is gonna help us with the planning of this big trip. Where's blue dog gonna take us? Where are we gonna travel to? What's the weather gonna be like? What will we need to bring to survive? What are we gonna wear? What are we gonna pack in our backpack or our suitcase? Depends on how long we're going. So in our map, we're gonna be going on a little bitty hike, and we're gonna need a compass. I just showed you that compass. We might need a backpack. What else? If I'm going on a hike, I'm gonna need water. I'm definitely gonna need some snacks. Maybe I'll bring an extra pair of shoes if my feet get wet. So many different things. Here we go. So let's get started. At the top of our paper, I want you to write an N for north, an E for east on the side, very close to the edge, an S for south. We live in South Louisiana, the bottom of the United States, right? And a W for the west. The west is where California is, okay? The north is where Michigan is, the top of the United States, okay? So a good way to remember this is to say, never eat sour watermelon. Then you know where the directions go. Never eat sour watermelon. That's super helpful. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's draw a little cabin in the very middle of our paper. Just a little cabin, a square, and a triangle. Super easy. Okay. Let's draw up here at the top. Let's draw 2 big triangles for mountains. Perfect. And let's draw a lake over here, a wiggly wobbly lake. Perfect. And down here, let's draw a little tent. Maybe someone's camping down here. You could put a little tree next to it, maybe a little campfire. Got it? And over here, let's put a little forest. Just a few trees. We're not coloring any of this in. And the last thing we're gonna add is a wavy lake that goes across our page. You got it? Great. I'm gonna get a different color. I'm gonna get green so I can go on my hike, right? So let's start the hike. You're gonna hear some words that are good directional words, things that you might hear in class when you start talking about maps. So let's start our hike below or under the tent. And I'm gonna do little dash lines. I'm gonna go around the fire. We're gonna go west through the left side of the river. This is the left, this is west. We're gonna head west through the left side of the river and stop at that forest. Perfect. My next set of directions, let's hike between the forest trees. When you get past the forest trees, stop. Good job. Next, we can hike next to the cabin, head towards the cabin, go underneath it. We're gonna go to the right side of the cabin. We're gonna head towards the pond, and we're gonna stop. Perfect. And last place that Blue Dog is gonna take us on our adventure is gonna be north towards the mountains. Here is north, here's the mountain. We're gonna go north towards the mountains. That is a map with all kinds of directions on it, right? Perfect. Let's go ahead and move that map out of the way. I want to show you this little, here's a treasure map. It's got a little, just got water, forest, and mountains. That's all that they have on their little key, right? Here is a map of a park. It's very tiny, but they have trees and a bench and a slide, swings, a pathway. It's a map of everything that's at this park, so people know where to go, okay? And this is a map of Palmetto Island State Park here in Louisiana. It shows where the pond is and where you can camp and where the cabins are. And then on this side, if you are camping, it shows a map of all the places that you can park your camper along the path, so you know which spot is yours. So there's all kinds of maps, right? All right, we're gonna get started drawing our blue dog, okay? Blue dog is going to be on this paper, and the first thing we have to do is fold it. So put your paper in front of you horizontal. From the bottom, go ahead and fold it up. Perfect. And then bring it down. I think that will be good. All right, get your black crayon. I have to ask you a question here. Why don't we see the legs of this blue dog? Do you know why? I'll tell you. It's because it's like he's taking a selfie, right? If you take a picture of yourself and you have the camera, you do like this and you smile, you don't see your legs. You'd have to have a really, really long arm. So he's taking a selfie, right? Just like this one. You don't see his legs. He's in a field of flowers. Look at this one. He might be in the swamp or at the beach. He's close up. This one has a few poppies, but this one is how George Rodrigue draws the blue dog with the whole body. And you can see sometimes he puts silly shoes on him. Sometimes he doesn't have any shoes at all, right? Just depends on where his blue dog is traveling at the time. George Rodrigue, his blue dog could go anywhere, so he could be dressed however you want it to be. So let's get started drawing our blue dog. I have my black crayon. Find the middle of your paper and go down just a little bit. And I want you to draw a little rectangle, not too big, not too small. This is gonna be his nose, okay? In the middle of his nose, put 2 big circles. That's gonna be his nostrils so he can breathe, okay? Perfect. And you can go ahead and color around his nose. If your nose holes in your nostrils get all colored in, that's fine. You can't really see them on some of the pictures, it's okay. Perfect. When you're done coloring that, stop for a second. We're gonna move on. Okay. Above his nose, right up here above his nose, I want you to put 2 straight lines. They don't go too far up. And on the top of those straight lines, go ahead and put some zigzags. That's like the top of his head, the top of his nose where it gets kind of furry. Got it? While we're drawing this, think of where your blue dog might be traveling, okay? All right, now we're gonna make a bubble around his nose. Watch, it goes down and around and back up to the line. Got it? Don't make it too close to the nose. We have to do his little mouth, you see? So we're gonna do a curved line that goes the other way. Watch, from here to here. It almost looks like he's frowning, but he's not. That's just his mouth. And in this little space, you can do a little smile. That way he won't look so sad, right? So there's Blue Dog's nose. We did it. All right, so next to his nose is gonna be his big yellow eyes, right? They're yellow because they're ghost-like, like the loup-garou or a spirit, okay? Above your creased line, I want you to put a nice big circle, and in the inside, put a little pupil. Good. He looks like he's staring at you with big eyes, doesn't he? Okay. We're going to put these little shapes at the bottom of his eyes. You can make this a little bit thicker if you want. Don't close it in. We have to leave room for some yellow. If your eyes are little, that's okay. If they're really, really big, that's okay too. I'm just making this a little bit thicker. While you're making that thicker, you can make this thicker underneath. Maybe you do a little line around his nose. Got it? Okay. I want you to put a little, like a little letter U on his eyes underneath on both sides. And you can color those in. And there's also one on the top. It's an upside down U, right? Good job. Ready for the next step? Let's do it. Okay, we're gonna start at right above his nose, okay? And we're gonna make a oval around his eyes and his nose. So if you start right above where his nose is, ready? I'm gonna go around his eyes and all the way around to this side. It's his little head. His nose hangs down a little bit low, like dogs have those long snouts, right? So it hangs down below his face. And then we're gonna do his body, just like George Rodrigue did right here, just like I did, and it's kind of curves out, or 2 straight lines is fine. Good. And he's got really big ears. Look how big Tiffany's ears are. Okay? They're like large triangles. So if you start at the side of his head right here and go all the way up to the corner and all the way back to his head, all the way up to the corner and all the way back to his head, you've got 2 big Tiffany ears. Okay? And you could put a little triangle in there and color it in. And while you're doing that, you can make some fur on his ears. Zigzag line, triangle, colored in, some fur. Perfect. I also did, see how Tiffany has like fur coming off of his ears up here, watch. A little zigzag, maybe some on the tip over here. Maybe some on this side, going down the side of his face. right? Dogs, pooh, their hair goes puff, puff all the way around, especially if they have long hair like Tiffany did, right? Maybe even some on the top. Good job. I'll let you add some fur to his body and his head. Look, even on mine I did here. You can go all the way around if you want. Starting to look like Blue Dog. Also, he has these little like eyebrows and fur underneath his eyes too. And I just did mine with zigzags. So above his eyes I did zigzags, above. Like this. You can do zigzags below. Kind of makes him look like he might be scared, but he's not. Go back. I'm going to make his nose darker around the edge, but we know that's going to stay white, right? See how some of the lines are thicker around? You can go back. Right now they're thin. You might make them thick. Perfect. I'll give you a little time to add some fur to make some of those lines thick. George Rodrigue wrote a really good children's book called Why is Blue Dog Blue? And in that book, he helps to explain that his blue dog, sometimes he paints in different colors too, but he explains why he does in that book. It's a really, really cute little book. And are there really blue dogs? Not in the color blue, but there's a lot of dogs that have the name Blue in their real name, like a blue tick hound. That's a real name of a dog. It's called a blue tick hound, but it's really not blue. It's just a hound, and the colors kind of mixed together makes it appear to maybe be blue. A blue merle, which is an Australian shepherd dog. A blue harlequin, which is a Great Dane, right? They're just maybe so gray they look blue. You got all his fur on there? Just so you know, George Rodrigue didn't just paint Blue Dog. He also painted a lot of outdoor scenes at family gatherings. He used large oak trees as his main subject or in the background. He did a lot of really abstract paintings, and he did paintings of Louisiana legends, and he had a lot of history, a lot of people with a lot of history in his paintings. So he didn't just paint Blue Dog. Blue Dog just happens to be one of his most famous paintings of all, right? And as we're coloring this dog blue, artists don't have to paint things the way they really are. They might just be inspired. It may inspire you guys, you kids, to discover new colors and to use them in a very creative way, right? So let's go ahead. We're going to start coloring in Blue Dog. I just colored lightly with my blue crayon. If you have turquoise blue, that's fine. If you have light blue, that's fine. I colored in his ears. I just lightly colored them in so I could go back and maybe make it darker by his head. You see how it's darker? I just pressed my crayon a little bit harder. Maybe darker on the tip of his ear. Darker by his ear, by his head, darker on the tip, right? Make sure to leave his nose white, and we're gonna color his eyes yellow. So go ahead and color his head. I'm coloring it lightly. I'm not going to color his nose. You can go right over your black because black is darker than blue. It won't change it. Don't color his eyes. Good. Do it nice and lightly, just like I did. I'll give you a second to do that. Then I'll show you some of the spots you might want to make it darker so it has some shadows, right? Got it? So if you want to color a little bit darker, you can color it darker around his nose. Maybe darker around the eyes. Right? Maybe darker at the top of his nose so it looks like it has a shadow. Maybe you're going to add some dark blue eyebrows. Looking good. See, this is a different color blue. It's okay. He's all different shades of blue, and like I said in his book, Why is Blue Dog Blue? He actually has some red ones, some yellow ones, some rainbow dogs, all kinds of colors. All right, let's color in his body. Don't color in his nose, just his body. It's okay if you do kind of zigzag. He's a dog. It makes it show like it's more, he's a lot more furry or fuzzy, right? Look. There you go. Color that in, get it all nice. When you're done, you can go ahead and add some shadowing. On this one, I did it around the edge and under his nose, because his nose is sticking out, so there would be a shadow underneath. Okay, look at that. Maybe across the bottom. Now, if you notice, I didn't do anything on my background. I didn't dress him accordingly to where he was traveling to, but that's something you can do. Now you know how to draw a blue dog. And so the next time you draw it, you don't even have to draw it that big. So you can leave yourself space to maybe put him in the swamp, or maybe go into a Mardi Gras parade, right? You can dress him up. Look, this one's a clown. You can have him riding on a motorcycle. He can go wherever. He can go to Paris, right? He could go to the cafeteria or the grocery store. He could go to Chuck E. Cheese. Wherever you want your blue dog to travel. You better find out what the weather's going to be like and what you need to bring, right? For him to be able to travel there. What is he going to have in his backpack or his suitcase, right? So to finish it up, let's go ahead and color in his yellow eyes. His big, bright yellow eyes. There. Perfect. So, now that you know how to draw this dog, and you know the reason why George Rodrigue made his blue dog blue, then you can come up with where he's going to travel to. So today was really great. We learned all about the famous Louisiana artist George Rodrigue and his very popular painting of the blue dog. Now that you know how to draw a blue dog selfie and have some simple mapping skills, you can create your very own map. Don't forget to dress your dog for the big adventure, and I'll see you next week.